guys, so I'm back again with another sketchbook session. This is going to be quite a casual one as I haven't done one like this for a while. So I just want to have a little chat and you can go and draw along with me. So as you can see, it's really sunny this week. It's been really nice, so I thought I would film outside because, you know, it was bright enough and it was warm enough and it was just really nice. And I do most of my work inside. Well, I do pretty much all of my work inside, so it was nice to have a change of scenery and get outside in the sun, because it's been a good few months since we've seen that in the UK. So for this piece I decided I would do a whole page spread full of sea creatures, and I mostly wanted to keep my colour palette quite limited, so I limited it to pinks, oranges and blues, which I think recently have become my favourite colour combination. I don't know, they just really work and complement each other, and they look really nice together. So I'm using Winsor & Newton drawing inks to colour this in, and then later I use coloured pencils to go over the top. And again, I do like using these media together a lot, and recently I've been experimenting with it so much more than I used to, and I'm so happy with the results you can get from it. I think one of the biggest things about using drawing inks is making sure you are using the right kind of paper, because as I found out with my last sketchbook, it made a massive effect on the quality, and I was never really happy with my ink drawings. But now I'm always happy with them. I really like how they look, and they're just so much easier to use and blend when you have thick, good quality paper. If you're interested in knowing what sketchbook I'm using a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook, and I definitely recommend it. It is quite pricey, but it is definitely worth it because you do get the amazing quality you'd expect for that price. I think the one thing I'd say is that if you are a beginner, it might not be the best one to start out with if you're not confident you're going to be able to fill the full sketchbook, because I definitely know how it feels to open up a sketchbook and have all these blank pages to fill. And as I've said before on my channel, in fact I made a whole video on it last year in fact, I do find it, well I used to find it quite difficult to stick to one sketchbook. But I did eventually, I think I'm starting to get over this, and I did manage to finish one sketchbook, and now I'm on this one, and I haven't switched out to any other sketchbooks except maybe my little sketchbook that sometimes I take to uni with me for my university work. But other than that, everything is done in this sketchbook. And it's really nice to be able to just sit down and create something in the same book and be able to look back and see the progress I've made since I've started it, which is something you can't do if you keep changing sketchbooks to sketchbooks. So I definitely think if you can, it'd be worth it to stick to one sketchbook. The sketchbook I used before this was a very cheap basic one. I think it cost me under £7, maybe close to just £5, and it was decent enough, but I did find that some media like Winsor & Newton inks would react a bit strangely to it, just because it wasn't made to use kind of wet ink. But you know, it did the job. It was good enough if you're trying to learn, and I would recommend getting a cheaper sketchbook like that before switching to a more expensive one like this one, which did cost me I think it was like £25, so it is a little bit more. But I do now know that I can complete a whole sketchbook if I really want to, and that is definitely something I want to do again. While I was painting these sea creatures, I would check my phone regularly because I like looking at references just to make sure I'm kind of getting like the lighting and the colours right. I mean, I wasn't following the colours 100% to the original one because I am only using a limited colour palette, but it definitely helps to give you an idea of where like shading and darker parts and highlights and things should be. And a lot of people are against using references, but I think if you just use it to help you inspire your piece and make sure you're getting something correct, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it definitely helps me a lot when I want to create something like this. I didn't use a reference for like the composition and the positioning and everything, that I just made up myself, but I just kind of wanted to make a very nice, relaxing piece that I didn't have to think too much of, and that wouldn't be made into anything. You know, I just wanted to fill a page in my sketchbook and not really think about what I was doing too much. I definitely think one of my favourite pieces from this page is the crab. I'm really happy with how it came out. When I was doing it, I was a little bit worried that the pink was a bit too vibrant, but I actually really like how bright it is. And Winsor & Newton inks just give you so much more brighter and bolder colours than I'd say watercolours do. I'm not sure if anyone else feels like that, because I do know some people can come up with some amazing watercolour pieces, but I do feel like the colours can be a little bit more muted with watercolours, whereas these inks are so much more brighter, and they just really stand out against the page. I do like watering down my Winsor & Newton inks, of course, but I still feel like they are so bright and colourful, and I just think they look great on a page like this, and they just really add something to it, even though you know, it is quite a it's not really a complicated piece, it's not particularly difficult, but it just makes it look, I don't know, I'm just really happy with how it came out, and I really like the colours, and I definitely recommend trying out Winsor & Newton inks if you haven't, and if you have tried them out before, let me know in the comments below what you like drawing with them. I definitely like drawing animals and people with them. I think you can get some really nice textures with them when you're drawing people. I think the thing I hate the most about Winsor & Newton inks is that they take forever to dry. I'm really impatient when it comes to waiting for things to dry. Watercolours, acrylic paints, inks, whatever it is, I hate waiting for things to dry, and I just go ahead and draw on top of it even though I know it's wet, and I do tend to ruin things. But doing this in the sun really helped speed up the drying process, and I didn't really have to wait as long as I usually would. So I think that definitely helped me do this piece a little bit quicker than normal. Yeah, now I'm using coloured pencils to go over the top. I really like using contrasting colours to do this, so I use a lot of pinks on oranges and blues just to make everything really stand out against the white background, because the white background is a little bit plain, but with the added coloured pencils it just makes everything else just pop out of the page and makes it that little bit more exciting. I also kind of like shade in a kind of blocky way, but I use complementary colours, so when there's like pinks I'll use oranges, and I just kind of experiment and see what works really. The great thing about Prismacolor pencils is that if you do make a mistake, you can kind of blend the colours back into the page. If you use another colour, you can kind of just build up on it and fix things if you feel like you need to. I hope you've had weather just as lovely as it's been over here for the last few days where you are, because it's been really nice to sit in the sun and get away from the cold weather we've been having for the last few months. And England tends to be really cold at this time of year, so it was such a surprise to us for it to get this warm. And this is the finished illustration spread. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below to say what you like about Winsor & Newton inks. And if you're new here, please remember to hit that subscribe button and press that bell button. Thank you! I think a fallen angel just walked by.